Hi hostess, thanks for joining me. I'm Charlotte and today we're doing a quick video tutorial about how to decorate a Christmas wreath. Now, I don't know about you, but one of my favourite things to do during the festive period as a child was always to decorate the house. I used to spend hours cutting out little bits of paper into snowflakes so that I could hang them from the ceiling and glue them to windows. I just loved the feeling of the whole house being decorated. So I'm very excited to be doing this video with you today.
Okay, so first of all, just to talk you through some of the things you're going to need for this tutorial. You need a wreath, obviously. Then I have gathered some foliage from my garden. So here I have got some ivy and I have got some olive as well. And I've got some wire, of course, and a bit of twine just in case. And I've got some lovely baubles. As you can see, I'm going for a gold theme, but obviously you can do whatever you want. And I have got some scissors and some secateurs to cut things.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just to kind of boost the volume in this wreath a little bit. So I bought it quite cheaply in the shops, just a few pounds, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of spread out the leaves a little bit to make it a little bit more fluffy and a little bit bigger so it has more volume. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is attach some of the foliage that I've cut. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get the foliage into small pieces which are going to be perfect for attaching on to the wreath.
So what I'm doing here is cutting the foliage into similar length pieces. Doing that all in one go now makes it easier when it comes to the next step. Now this actually took me a little bit of time, so what I'm going to do is just skip forward to the next bit.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is make little groupings of these small bits of foliage, tiny weeny little bouquets like this. So just choose a few stems that you like, that you think fit together. And I like to find ones that's sort of vaguely pointing in the same direction so that they are going to be going around the wreath in a circular manner. And once you have your bouquet and you're happy with how it looks, you're just going to tie it together with a little bit of wire. So just make sure you tie it nice and firmly so that it's not going to fall apart and disintegrate when you let go. Just like that. And then finally use a bit more wire to attach your bouquet to the wreath in a circular fashion going around the wreath. And what you're going to do is any wires that you can see as you go round, you're going to cover those up with more bouquet. Easy peasy.
One thing I would suggest here is to cut a little pile of wire and have that next to you so that you don't have the bouquet perfectly arranged in your hand and then have to put it down to get a piece of wire. That happened to me a few times and it definitely slowed me down.
Okay, so a couple of tips when you're doing it. The first one is to make sure that your bundles are tied really, really tightly. And the second one is to try to find your wreath ring. So all of these bits of fake foliage, if you like, are tied onto a ring. If you can try to put your bundles onto that ring, that will avoid you tying it onto these branches, which are part of the decoration, and that will mean that your wreath is much more fluffy and much more pretty.
Another thing worth remembering here is that the bigger your wreath is, the more bulky you'll want your bundles to be. Whereas if you have quite a small wreath like I did, smaller bunches will probably work better. So this also took a little bit of time, so I'm going to go right ahead and skip forward to the next step.
Amazing, so once you're done, it should look something like this. And now it's time to put the baubles or any other decorations that you have on it. So as I said earlier, I've got a collection of small baubles, which I'm going to be affixing at random locations on the wreath. I'm just going to take a little bit of wire and thread it through the tiny hoop on the top of the bauble and attach it on, basically. Simple as. One other thing that I really like is making a collection of a couple or three, an odd number of baubles, and making little groupings like that, which I think will look really, really neat in our wreath. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is to add a few more white coloured baubles in the same way, but this time I'm going to do them individually.
Using contrasting colours or different types of ornaments or decorations will add interest to your wreath and make it look pretty.
But I do always recommend thinking about what kind of theme you're going for before you start. Remember, too many different things will start to look garish and messy, and no hoster wants that.
There you have it. That is my easy peasy Christmas wreath. It does take a little bit of time, but it's super simple and not very expensive. So there's only one thing left to do now, and that is to attach it to the door, which is where ours is going. So I've made a little loop out of wire and hung it around the wreath ring. Let's go.
Ta-da! I actually had a really fun time making this. It was one of these creative projects I got super immersed in. So when I finished, it was already dark. I filmed a bit more the next morning so you guys could see it better. Thanks so much for watching, team. Happy hosting. Don't forget to subscribe at Hosted by Charlotte. Bye-bye.